What is going on, guys? So today we're going to be going over Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, what's been kind of going on narrative-wise between these two and what the media is kind of saying. I want to give my opinions on it. And now with this channel, we all know, you guys know that, I'm not trying to create any type of narrative when it comes to this situation, but I want to give my opinion on it, and I don't stray away from anything when it comes to stuff like this because I think always things should be talked about. Because if it's said all over the internet by a million people, me talking about it for a few minutes shouldn't be the biggest problem. And I think it's interesting because I think this team is taking a big turn from control from the head coach and a lot going on there. And we're going to go over Quinyon Mitchell's numbers, go over his contract, his numbers, his cap hits for the next few years since the rookie class is already done being signed. So let's get straight into all of it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, lots to go over here. Kind of want to reminisce on a few things that have been going on for the past week. And obviously, the media always has something to say. But the main question is, I think we've had going into this offseason, or at least going into like OTAs and mini camp as of right now, is how much does Nick have control over this offense, over this team? And yes, I know the players do believe in him, but I think Nick has to call it quits and realize that he's not good at some things because, I felt like after 22, he kind of sat there and said, look, I could take over this offense. It was his game plan. Brian Johnson was his scapegoat, called the plays, and I think he was given the ultimatum of staying in Philadelphia if he only fired his two coordinators, and that definitely happened. So there was the relationship between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I don't think there's anything wrong at all. I think everything is as fine as it normally is. But obviously when it comes to the business side of things, where the quarterback needs to be successful and the rest of this team needs to be successful, Nick needs to know when to have hands off to when he has hands on. And to be honest with you, from when we heard from Nick multiple times, I feel like Nick is trying to make himself look like that he's actually doing a lot when he's really doing really nothing at this point. And there's hands-off coaches that are great coaches. I have no issue with that at all. Nick Sirianni, I think as a motivator, I think as a guy that motivates a team when they're down, motivates a team when they're up and they're great, and winning. I think he's the perfect coach for that. Unfortunately, last year it didn't work. His words didn't work because there's nothing to back up behind his words, and that's where Jeffrey Lurie stepped right in and felt like the players were slowly losing, and disconnecting from the coaching staff. And I think that's a big part of, I think I got to say, I'm actually surprised that the team, and I'm surprised because when it comes to players that go through something like this in season, you might have a lot of guys that are going to try to trade out of Philadelphia or trade out from a team. Like nobody tried to trade out. Nobody besides, Reddick going to the Jets and a trade like that still hasn't been compromised. We don't, a lot of players just stuck with what we were doing. All the veteran players like Fletcher Cox and Kelsey and some of these other guys really defended Nick. But going into this offseason, didn't hire his own coordinators, didn't hire the assistant coaches, wasn't even a part of the draft, wasn't even sitting with Howie or Jeffrey Lurie in camera view on national television. Seriously. I think he's on a short leash. I think he's put in a corner until he's told to come out and do his job. And I think that's where it is. That's why Kellen Moore comes into this whole situation now where, what if the Eagles offense goes above and beyond? Does Nick just get like a demoted type job with the Eagles? Because if they play well, firing Nick is probably not going to be it's probably not going to look good towards the players and not look good towards obviously the Philly media and the rest of the league. And I think that's pretty true. Now, Hurts had his presser. I think it was the last day of minicamp, whatever it was. So I have the conversation right here. So So it says Jalen Hurts had very little to say when a reporter asked him about Nick Sirianni is involved in changing the offense. He said the reporter says, "What have you noticed about Nick Sirianni open-minded to change up the offense like he has? What does that say about him?" Hurts says, "That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know that I know the answer to it." Reports as well. What have you seen from him as far as doing that? Hurts says, I think he's been great in the message he's delivering, the messages he's delivering to the team. He's trying to be very intentional in what he's saying. So Hurts knows he has no involvement in it. No involvement in this offense whatsoever. Because I think that the way you really test a head coach is when the team is up and you're winning. How does a head coach keep your team positive energy above water? And I think Nick can do that. But because you had nothing to back up last year of that downfall last year, every single week, not changing your play caller, changing your defensive coordinator, which your defense was bad, but you made it from bad to worse, literally from one change, and Matt Patricia incorporating a new defense in season, which you never do. Okay. Now, James Jones had things to say about, the Eagles keep changing their coordinators every year. The Eagles have had 3 different coordinators on both sides. I mean, seriously, it's just getting to that point now where every year it's just different coordinators. And I'm tired of it because the Eagles have a really fantastic roster, and it's really annoying. Last year, on top of how bad things were, the Eagles got to 10-1 and then fell apart after that. And then this year, 2 new coordinators that I think have all the control over what they're doing. 95% of this offense is brand new. And if that's the case, then Nick has nothing to do with it. Now, the 5% of this offense is probably the brotherly shove and a couple screen passes, maybe. I don't know. But that's all I can really say. That's the 5%, in that number. I have no problem with Nick as a motivational speaker. But like I said, when you know that you're bad at something, don't try to think that you could fix anything. I mean, it's already embarrassing enough that when Shade Steichen left after 22, it's not like he incorporated anything from the offense. What makes the Eagles offense tick? What makes them successful? It just got really annoying after a certain amount of time. And trust me, this year in 2024, I will be the most critic of this team going to the season. Jalen Hurts, I gave a pass last year because, number one, he was hurt. The offense was a mess. The coaching was a mess. I gave a lot of passes out last year. But, to crucify a specific player or a coach that is well-deserving is going to happen this year if that's the case. Okay, so James Jones says, 95% of the offense is new. This team could have a slow start, which they can. Jalen Hurts has been through this since college. New coordinator after new coordinator after new coordinator. Okay, Hurts treats this like he's a freshman. Hurts treats every year in the NFL like he's a rookie. And that's a great mindset to have because, he's always learning, always trying to get better. And we know what Jalen Hurts has in his pocket. Okay, we know the talent that is there with him. We know, you just locked up Devontae Smith, including this year, for 5 years. You signed A.J. Brown to a big extension. I mean, this is the perfect moment where they really can't fuck this situation up. Because if Fangio's defense fails and Nick gets involved in this offense, I mean, Jesus, they're just never going to learn. We're always going to remember this time when we had 2 bona fide receivers for this long and couldn't do nothing about it because the coaching couldn't get their shit together. But I think this year is different because I think not only Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman took more control, and to be honest with you, Howie Roseman having more control and Jeffrey Lurie having more control of things is not a bad idea. As long as Jeffrey Lurie doesn't get involved in the draft, I really don't care because Howie Roseman has had free reign to do whatever he's wanted. It's not fair that Howie Roseman builds these rosters up and for it to be the biggest downfall. Excited about a specific player and then is underutilized. How many players have been underutilized in Philadelphia? Even last year, tight end was underutilized. You don't even find out what your number 2 is. Running back with DeAndre Swift. I mean, it goes on and on and on. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith always have the tale of 2 halves of the season. One plays better than the other one half. The other, the distribution is horrible. You ignore positions. The defense, I can't even get into the defense because there was nothing there. You can't run stunts. You can't blitz. You don't know how to blitz. Soft practices. No foundation, no sense of urgency. Mentality went out the door. They went out and got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They got Devin White. They got some big vocal leaders in this defense now, which is going to keep everybody up to par now. You go into the draft, you draft 2 DBs. You have a promising defensive end in Jalix Hunt. That's a big mystery right now. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, dude. This is like the year like everything has to click, because if it doesn't click within the first 3 weeks, then man, I don't know what's going on. But I have a good feeling going into this season, and Jalen Hurts is answering questions like this, like he has no idea like how Nick is involving himself, because he's not involved. Because he got a pat on the, he got his hand slapped down. Nick has nothing to do with nothing. All he's done was have these interviews and lie about everything he's involved with and calling these draft picks when they get drafted. That's all he's done this offseason. He hasn't done much. Is he involved in things? I don't think he's fully kicked out of things, no. But, I mean, they brought in Kellen Moore not for Nick to jointing of 2 schemes, which was the dumbest thing I heard this offseason. Kellen Moore has never had really control of the offense taken away from him. Him and Newsome have, the quarterback coach, have been working together really since Dallas. So there's a lot going on here. We have to just leave it up, to training camp and preseason and how these guys practice during the year and what's going on there. So I feel like, Nick is put in a certain position where he should not be doing anything else but one thing, is motivating this football team, being the likable coach that he is, and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But Kellen Moore is going to be looking for a head coaching job soon. Okay. And you're either going to demote Nick Sirianni after this year if they play really well, or, something has got to happen here, because he's going to have Kellen Moore's going to have a head coaching job sooner or later. And, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to be very, very on top of this team this year. I'm not giving passes. I'm going to be pissed off at times. I'm going to be, if I see someone's lacking, or I see that Nick is not doing his job, or I see that the offense is just not clicking, the defense is not clicking, it's going to be said, okay? Whether it's week 1 or week 3, learn from last year what happened. How many games? We were into like week 4 of the season. We were like, Brian Johnson needs more time. The offense isn't clicking. It wasn't the offense that wasn't clicking. Yeah, sure it was, but it was bad practices, bad gelling, bad play calling, and Nick had no idea what he was doing game plan wise. You have to keep what makes the Eagles successful in-house, the play calling that makes the Eagles successful in-house. Every year we can't just lose coordinators and then hopefully to hire the next one and figure that things are going to get fixed. I don't know, man. It's been one of the most annoying things. I don't want to just have a great draft and a great free agency and having great trades and re-signs if we're not up to par with what we're doing in Philadelphia. I don't know. But it's early in the process. We're going to give it more time. We're going to see what happens. And, that's really it. That's where we're at right now. And hopefully, I've been very weary of Nick really since the season ended last year. I haven't really paid attention to Nick. I haven't really watched one press conference. Either if there's nits and bits of stuff that's taken on the internet, I'll read it. I haven't actually wanted to hear his voice for a while because I was so disgusted last year on how he ran this team. And the one thing you have now on this coaching staff, besides your coordinators, you have experienced positional coaches. Okay, you have Clinton Hurt. That's the defensive line coach. Has been a DC, knows how players tick. You have Bobby King, the linebacker coach that has over 8-9 years of experience, and he has developed Pro Bowlers. There's a lot of really good positional coaches to this team that I think we've never had experience-wise in Philadelphia. So, this is going to be a hell of a ride this year. I mean, to be honest with you, in my heart and how I really feel about this team going into the season without even stepping into training camp yet, I feel like this team is a 13, 14 win team. I feel good. I feel good as of right now about, I'm having good feelings about the offense. I'm having good feelings about Vic Fangio and this defense. And I think everybody is really buying into what they're doing. But it's got to be more than Nick just talking every week. Okay, because if you're not getting results on the field, you're not getting results that practices are complementing your games, then it's a bigger issue than we absolutely expected. So that's where I'm at with this situation. Like I said, on this channel, I speak from the heart and will not shy away from anything. I don't care if I get hated for it, liked for it, whatever the case may be. It's just things need to be talked about. But I'm not just going to say things are bad and not give you a reason why. Or this is happening and this is my reason why. These are straight up opinions, but I think some things are certain, some things aren't finalized, as in, some of this news could be true or not true. But I think we come to the conclusion now that Nick just is here to be here as the motivational guy. And that's it. And Hurts knows that Nick has no involvement in what's going on. This is Kellen Moore's offense. And we have to accept that. And that's where we're at. So that's the news on all of that stuff. Let me know what you guys think. And lastly, I want to go over Quinyon Mitchell. Obviously, all the rookies are done signing their contracts. So Quinyon Mitchell, 4-year deal, $14.8 million guaranteed, $7.9 million signing bonus. If you hear banging, it's people upstairs doing some stuff, if you don't mind. And his cap numbers for 24 to 27, 24, $2.6 million this year, 25, $3.3 million, 26, $4 million, and 27, $4.7 million, which isn't great, which isn't bad. Obviously, for a first-round pick deal, that's what it's going to look like, and can't wait to see more of Quinyon Mitchell. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the content and my rant today. We'll have more videos in the coming days. If you guys haven't checked out the Philly Shakedown podcast merch, definitely go check it out. We have a lot coming out in the coming days. We have a new Quinyon Mitchell shirt. We have some other stuff coming out. Big release before the season starts. A lot going on. We're going to be doing some giveaways soon, so definitely check out the merch store in the link in the description below for all that great stuff for people who have bought shirts, sent me pictures and tweets about it. Thank you so much for all the support and great things. But other than that, let me know what you guys think about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, and what do you think is happening between them? If there is there not? Do you think Nick has involvement? I want to hear your comment down below on the situation. You guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up, follow, so peace out, guys. Peace.